Hello, and welcome to the 33rd Annual YMCA KAGI Award event. Today, we celebrate volunteerism and recognize the dedicated leadership and the platform of Connie Ballmer and the Ballmer Group for their outstanding dedication to supporting children and families by removing barriers and creating opportunities. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin by acknowledging the ancestral keepers of the land we gather on today, and we thank them for their immense contributions to our state and local history, culture, economy, and identity as Washingtonians.
On behalf of the board, we are delighted to bring this signature event back to the community. As Frank shared, volunteerism is the foundation of this award event and of the YMCA movement locally and around the world. In 1984, the YMCA's KAGI Award was created to celebrate the important role that each of us can play in strengthening our community. From the beginning, our goal has been to honor those who demonstrate exemplary volunteerism and service in our community. This award is presented to those who are making a difference through their gift of time, energy, and vision. The award was named in honor of Albert K. Guy, a man whose exceptional service to our community made him a role model. He preached public service as a core value tenet of community and inspired legions of others to volunteer upon seeing his example.
Albert K. Guy was a Seattle native and a graduate of the former Broadway High School. He was president of G.O. Guy Drugs, one of Seattle's first drugstores. Guy was an influential community leader in many organizations, including the YMCA. He was an active member of the YMCA Board of Directors and enthusiastic supporter of YMCA's Camp Orkila.
This year, the KAGI Award is presented to Connie Ballmer and Ballmer Group for their leadership and platform of community service to transform foster care, invest in strengthening the behavioral health system, and ongoing commitment to developing stronger youth, families, and communities by removing barriers to economic mobility. The past year has tested our families, neighbors, and nation. Yet through it all, we have also witnessed that we are strongest when we come together as a community. Together, let's celebrate the fact that we are stronger and better together when we all show up and work collectively to lift, build, and advocate for a healthier, happier tomorrow for all.
We have engaged many dedicated supporters in bringing this program to you, and we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize a few of the champions for their partnership. First, we'd like to thank our collective impact partner, Microsoft Corporation, and invite President Brad Smith to say a few words.
Hi, I'm Brad Smith, and I am really excited to be part of this event to honor and congratulate Connie Ballmer. I've known Connie for years, and I have seen firsthand what an extraordinary difference she makes in people's lives, starting with her husband and many of the rest of us at Microsoft. But obviously, this award is in recognition of the amazing things that Connie has done for our state and our community, for what she has done for children and for families, increasingly across the country. This is not work for the faint of heart, and as anybody who knows Connie knows firsthand, she doesn't have a faint heart. She digs in, she learns, she studies, and she acts and inspires. Connie, you are a model for all of us. Congratulations.
We would like to also call your attention to the screen to honor and acknowledge all our partners and sponsors who are walking alongside us today to make this celebration happen and amplify the platform of community service that has given hope to so many. As importantly, thank you to our event ambassadors for helping to register and engage all of you to be a part of this signature event this evening. We're thrilled to have you with us. Now, we are pleased to introduce Ballmer Group's President of Philanthropy, TERRI Ludwig.
Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be with you this evening. Thank you for honoring the Ballmer Group with this award, and a huge thank you to the YMCA of Greater Seattle. Your work has transformed lives and opportunities for so many kids in our region and our state, and we're really proud to partner with you. First, I'd like to tell you a little more about Ballmer Group's mission. It's no secret that the promise of economic mobility has been out of reach for many Americans, in large part due to systemic racism and systemic inequities. It's predictable who has access to the American dream, and it's predictable who is denied opportunity. We're grateful that there are so many amazing organizations in this country and in the state of Washington who are already working to make opportunity more equitable. Our goal is to give these leaders the resources they need to make change happen better and sooner, because our kids and families don't have time to waste. In their lifetimes, Connie and Steve Ballmer have already given over $1.7 billion to this mission, $564 million of which has gone to the state of Washington. And I'm happy to tell you, this is just the beginning. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the leadership of Andy Smith. Many of you know Andy, and she's the executive director of BG's work statewide. And she comes from a tremendous background of working with leaders within state government to measurably improve lives. Andy couldn't be with us tonight, but I wanted to thank her for her leadership and her passion and her extraordinary effort and service to the kids and families of Washington. Our work would not be possible without her leadership. I also want to thank our entire Ballmer Group team. I've witnessed that when we all work together, government, nonprofits, businesses, philanthropy, and citizen leaders on common goals, together we can actually move the needle and make progress on breaking down systemic barriers and setting kids and families up for success. When I first spoke to Steve and Connie about their vision, I felt like our minds were melding. These two were kindred spirits in our shared mission for kids and in recognizing the need to support both practice and systems change. And Connie's work of over 20 years in Washington was truly incredible. She had done the work, getting in the weeds and the wonk of policy, advocating for our kids. But I also channel Connie in this moment and hear her say, nothing we do would be possible without you, the hundreds of partners in Washington state who are on the ground making this happen. So thank you so much. And we have much more work together to do, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
I'm Loria Yaden, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Seattle. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our annual Signature AKGI Award event. Tonight is a very special night, and we are delighted to have all of you join us as we celebrate volunteerism and community caring for community. I'm super excited to share this time with you, Connie. And for those of you who don't know Connie Ballmer, Connie is a real-life systems change thinker. And she's a leader with a big heart for community. Connie has a strategic mindset with a deep passion and a deep compassion and caring for children and families. And she's on a mission to make sure kids have a chance to succeed. This means that she's always listening to the way the communities around her are asking to be supported. She advocates alongside community and rises to meet community needs. She courageously takes on systemic issues that some would say are insurmountable, or frankly, just find the way things are. Connie goes deep to identify root causes, both at the individual and system levels, seeking out patterns that cause systems to fail. She works collaboratively with communities to design solutions and knit together a network of experts, partners, and others to repair, rebuild, and innovate systems and new models to prevent kids and families from falling through systemic cracks and gaps. Connie boldly calls out systemic racism as a root of systemic failures, and she listens to community. She listens to understand how she, in partnership with others, can dismantle systems of injustice. Then she helps identify strategic partnerships across community-led initiatives, nonprofits, and government. Her approach allows the private and public sectors to collaboratively come together to change the lives and economic situation of kids and families, today and tomorrow. Mere words don't quite cut it. Mere words cannot adequately describe the impact of Connie Ballmer and Ballmer Group's leadership and platform of community service. Their approaches center systems change, and their work has made a difference through their strategic investments in areas like foster care, behavioral health, and economic mobility. Why, family and friends? This is why we are indeed so fortunate to spend this time with Connie Ballmer to learn together. During our conversation, we will discuss critical issues facing our region and our country that are central to the systems change work of Ballmer Group and the YMCA of Greater Seattle. Connie, thank you for being here and welcome.
Wow, thank you so much. It is great to be with you, and I'm blushing. Thank you for your very kind introduction. The pleasure is truly mine. And on behalf of my husband, Steve, and our team at Ballmer Group Philanthropy, we are just really grateful to the Y for honoring us with this award. I really wish we could be together in person, but I do appreciate the Y's consideration of COVID protocols, and you are prioritizing our wellness. I hope everybody who's watching feels healthy.
Thank you for that, Connie. You know, during my opening remarks, I've thrown around the phrase systems change quite a bit as a foundation of the work at Ballmer Group. Some in our audience may be curious, what is systems change? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can try. I think systems change is a really important concept, and I believe it's become kind of a wonky buzzword. So let's you and I try to make it more approachable. Okay, most of the solutions for issues that the YMCA and Ballmer Group care about are primarily funded by the government, by our tax dollars. Public dollars are administered by government systems. So as examples of important systems that touch a child's life would be the public schools, maybe child welfare, juvenile justice, the courts, public safety, police. So look, personally, I'm very grateful for these systems because there was a time in our country when none of them existed. However, now they serve very large populations with really diverse needs. And, you know, most of these systems were created decades ago, and they don't evolve very easily. Someone once taught me that government is very difficult to change. And that's for a very good reason. Just stop and think about if it were easy to change our government every time someone new came along with a different idea, right? So systems change is just when citizens work on making our government systems better so they can help more people and make better use of tax dollars. Philanthropic dollars appear to be a tiny drop in the bucket when applied to big challenges like school reform or helping foster kids. But we can partner with government leaders and systems to catalyze change or maybe help things just go faster. So let me try to give you one example. Let's say the juvenile court system has decided it wants to evolve from jailing young people to instead provide preventative services to help rehabilitate and keep them out of jail. Wow, that would be an enormous effort. And philanthropy can provide unrestricted funding, which is really hard to find in a government budget, to pay for the tiny steps in the long process. So maybe we could cover convenings of decision makers and community members who need to talk to each other to say, what's this going to look like? We could maybe fund the gathering and the presentation of real data so everybody sees what are the negative effects of incarcerating young people. We could pay for the technical assistance needed to change the way that the government writes its contracts. We can also pay for the treatment programs that are going to be needed to really help the youth. So that's one example. And another big example is just what we call advocacy. advocacy is completely changed, aimed at systems change. And there's a lot of kinds of advocacy, such as making sure the public is aware and informed of issues, maybe going the extra steps to provide background information and data on an issue for legislators so they can make good decisions. Or frankly, it's just helping people get elected or laws passed. So lots of examples, lots of kinds. It's not easy work always. It takes a long time, but it's really fundamental.
That's great, Connie. I love what you said. With all of what you said, systems change work is about all that it takes to make systems better. And we applaud what you and others are doing in community to make that happen for community. So thank you for that. You know, I'd like to move specifically into transforming foster care and the work that you guys have taken on there. We know that children and families in foster care and gaps in the child welfare system were core challenges that drew you into the world of advocacy and philanthropy. Would you talk a little bit about your journey into the world of advocating for child welfare and how your work here has grown into your purpose?
Sure, it's a really important topic. And I think everybody begins their volunteering by, being drawn to an issue. So early on, the area that called to me was foster care. Quite simply, I was a mom to 3 small boys at that point, and the prospect of children in situations of abuse and neglect, of being taken away from their families, it was about the worst thing I could imagine. And now we also know that this kind of childhood trauma really negatively impacts somebody for their entire life.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. I had to listen and learn. I became a supporter of really incredible local organizations which help foster kids, like Mockingbird Society, Amara, and Treehouse. It's critical that we support local programming like this. But then, as you learn more about the complexity of the whole child welfare system, which becomes the child's guardian once they're removed from their homes, it made me want to go upstream, go a little bit deeper. So when I heard from service providers, foster parents, legislators, advocates, I realized there's really never enough public resources for an optimal system, and that children have no voice in our government processes. So I just joined alongside others who were already in the area. There's a couple examples of how I participated. I co-founded Partners for Our Children. This was a public-private partnership with the University of Washington's School of Social Work and the Department of Social and Health Services, DSHS. And these were 2 key systems that really needed to work together, and they were not connected. One trained the social workers and one employed the social workers. So our mission with Partners was to encourage more of this kind of collaboration, to bring more resources to child welfare, and just frankly to present data about what's really going on with the kids and families in the system so that we could do it better. So that was a great learning experience for me. Another example of progress in Washington state child welfare that's been encouraging, I'll give you this. So for a long time, child welfare as a topic has been shuffled around within other big adult systems, right? And that limited the focus that we were able to get to the kids. Advocates kept saying for years, Washington state really needs a cabinet-level department that's dedicated to children, youth, and families, okay? So the Blue Ribbon Commission was convened by Governor Inslee, and it too recommended, yes, Washington state needs this kind of department. Okay, so that's the good news, but how do you move from a recommendation on paper to action, to approval in the legislature? So many advocates, including Partners for Our Children and Ballmer Group, helped to do the education for legislators, opinion leaders, editorial boards all around the state on what is this notion of a new department? Why will that help children? So a lot of conversations. We also hosted a legislative caucus, a learning space, so legislators who are interested could come together and really talk about what could this new department do and why was it needed. It's the good news is this is definitely a bipartisan issue. So the resulting popular support, positive media coverage did ensure that the legislation passed, and it gave a new fresh start to Washington's child welfare system. That certainly wasn't the end of it, that was the beginning. So today, DCYF, Department for Children, Youth, and Families, is a few years old. It's learning how to best help kids, how to evolve. One immediate goal is to focus more resources on preventing children from entering the system. How do we help families before their children are removed? So it's a long-term process. The work is never ending in child welfare, but I'm encouraged by the progress I've seen just in my time working on this.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. And I love seeing your energy when you talk about this important work. So thank you, Connie. Now let's take a moment to learn about the current state of foster care in Washington and also nationally, and how we, along with government, philanthropy, nonprofits, and community members, are working together to advocate for kids and families to create better systems of care with kids and families in focus.
Back in 2017, the state was really dealing with a situation where had lost a lot of foster homes, really weren't able to meet the need of kids that were in care already, as well as new kids coming into care.
So we're facing a number of challenges in the foster care system in Washington, one of it which is the number of families entering foster care.
Foster care historically has been an institution of separating families. What we've attempted to do is to sort of approach the work of foster care from just a completely different paradigm, which is instead of it being an institution of separation, let's make this be the way that broken families put themselves back together again.
As we know, youth of color especially linger in care and in foster care the longest. So there needs to be a real focus on having children get to permanent placements.
I wish people could just see the need of how important. There are so many children out there who want a forever family or just a family for a year where they can know what it's like.
The Foster Care Funding Collaborative was brought together with the support of the Ballmer Group, who really brought together a lot of different organizations focused on primarily the need to increase the number of foster homes in Washington state. The impact of the Foster Care Funding Collaborative was really huge. It not only resulted in a growth in the number of foster homes we have, but it also created an opportunity for us to do some other innovations and think about some ways that we could bring in other types of services to our foster care program.
Our goal as an agency has been to safely reduce the size of the foster care population. We're down about 22%. We're down below 7,000 children in foster care for the first time since the 80s. Ballmer Group's been really helpful in helping us really think about how effective are our services. It's hard for an agency to recommend, well, let's just try this. We don't know if it's going to work. Using philanthropic resources is incredibly helpful for us.
They created the Washington Association for Children and Families, which has allowed us to advocate on behalf of private agencies to be able to thrive.
When you look across the nation, when you look at other philanthropic efforts, it really is the Ballmer Group, in my mind, that's been a leader in that area.
So now we'll shift gears and talk a little bit about economic opportunity and mobility and some of the systemic barriers there. The barrier to break the cycle of poverty, impacts virtually every other social outcome, like health, like mental health, education, and so many more we could talk about. Can you share a bit about how achieving economic opportunity for all became a central part of the work of Ballmer Group?
Yes, well, as we've discussed, I began with a focus on foster care, mostly here just in Washington State. And then when my husband Steve retired from Microsoft, I invited him to join me so we could do more. We had what was now a very memorable conversation in which he tried to politely decline my invitation, and he stated that the government is best suited to distribute money to people. I stated that I thought the government could use some help, which led Steve to research government spending. Well, he couldn't make sense of government reporting. It's not done well. So he founded USA Facts, which is a public resource for numbers and trends in government spending. And USA Facts is also housed at Ballmer Group. So that is a wonderful project that also began out of our conversation. But the good news is Steve also agreed to join me in philanthropy. And I'll never forget that moment when we looked at each other and we said, okay, what can we do? Where should we focus? So we continued working on my initial focus on children and families. But if you examine any one area, you realize that only touches a tiny part of their life, right? So you have to step back and kind of look at the concept of economic mobility, or what we call the American dream. This basically says that any citizen should have an equal opportunity to achieve their highest aspiration or goals, right? Pretty lofty goal. Well, as we dug in, we learned about way too many barriers to economic mobility. The American dream was not being dreamed. Most notably, in every system, there are racial inequities that make it nearly impossible for children of color to achieve the American dream. Systemic racism has been built into most of all of our public systems over many decades, which now needs to be unraveled. So Ballmer Group Philanthropy does have a very broad focus as we take all of this in. But, in looking at a family's life and all of the barriers they face, it's been pretty difficult to narrow it. So, we've had the honor of building a really great team at Ballmer Group, and we've brought on expertise in a lot of areas, which helps us get up to speed. In fact, can I give a shout out tonight to our wonderful Washington team, led by our Executive Director, Andy Smith, and it also includes Casey Gwynn, Emma Uman, and Val Fitzgerald, and they do a great job for us in Washington State. And Gloria, one aspect that's really helpful of having both a national and a local focus is being familiar with some of the country's best evidence-based programs, and then sometimes being able to bring that program back to our community. So one example involves a national organization called Youth Villages and our local YMCA. Youth Villages, one of our favorites, provides proven treatment models for kids who face a wide range of problems. And one such program is called LifeSet. This targets kids who age out of foster care at the age of 18. And these kids need enormous help to transition in life, just as you or I would provide to our own 18-year-old. So here was a real need here in Washington State, and Youth Villages had a solution. But it's not always easy to introduce a new program. We have to ask, where's it going to live? Who will run it? How do we pay for it? So we were absolutely delighted. The YMCA's accelerator, now called Social Impact Center, courageously stepped up to operate this LifeSet model here in King County and now in Pierce County. Ballmer Group offered to fund the first few years of the program, and then our partners in the state legislature saw the results, were impressed, and they agreed to provide ongoing funding for the program throughout the state. So this is an example of an effort that took many years, as systems change often does, but we're really proud that we can offer this for Washington youth now.
That's awesome. So many nuggets there, Connie. First, I want to say the YMCA of Greater Seattle has been absolutely excited to walk alongside a Ballmer Group with YV LifeSet. It's been so life-changing for the youth who've come through that program, and your willingness to step up and make that investment, which has now catalyzed investment from the state. This is a great model for all of us. So a thank you for seeding that model that hopefully now we all can follow. So supporting young people who are coming out of foster care, homelessness, or the mental health and juvenile justice systems is so crucial to their future health, happiness, and economic mobility. So I'd like to pause and just take a look at how the Y's unique partnership with Youth Villages, with the support of Ballmer Group, is bringing the YV LifeSet program to King County, and how other strategies are making real progress in setting up young people involved in multiple systems for future success. So let's take a look, listen, and learn.
Right now, there's more young people coming into the system than any of us can really care for effectively. But we found when it came to the adult system, there were very few systems to support young adults. A lot of the families were done with them.
We have a lot of young people now who are without shelter. When we have children that we as a collective have decided can't live at home with their parents, just because they turned 18 does not mean we don't have a responsibility to those young people.
We have a program, YV LifeSet, that is specifically works with kids who age out of the foster care system. The YV LifeSet program is there to help kids transition into independence.
About 2014, 2015, we decided that we could best expand and grow the model by finding good partners across the country. The Ballmer Group were willing to take a risk. I mean, we had never gone outside to another organization and said, would you consider using the model we developed? And so the Y was the first group we did it with there in Seattle. And so we built a model around those primary necessary life skills that all of us need to live independently. And now we have 20 partners across the country. We work in 11 states. We're serving over 1,000 young people a day just through our partnership program and those experiences that we got from the YMCA there in Seattle.
The YV LifeSet program is pretty amazing in that it does that very thing of supporting youth as they exit foster care.
Our main goal is to get them less reliable on system supports and help them find more natural supports in their community.
We help support youth with jobs and housing and a lot of just the basic life needs, as well as providing therapeutic services, case management support, all the things that traditional teenagers need.
A whole generation of our family has been significantly helped from what I believe we received was the assistance of an early learning program that not only cared for me, but cared for the whole family. And as a legislator, I would like to make sure that those programs are still available for families today.
Not only did the Ballmer Group bring the issue of the YV LifeSet program to the fore, but overall, they have highlighted the issues of foster youth and of child welfare and children overall for legislators. I mean, they've really put those issues on the map.
Without the Ballmer Group, YV LifeSet would not have come to Washington State. Young people coming out of the foster care system, the juvenile justice system, mental health, need support to become young adults that prosper and thrive in our community. And the YV LifeSet program provides all of that.
So now I'd like to talk a bit about another significant area of need in our community that's been exacerbated by the pandemic. Connie, you are a longtime advocate for mental health, but this past year, Ballmer Group elevated its advocacy to go beyond the individual and even beyond local community. Ballmer Group made major investments in behavioral health workforce development in Washington State. What are you seeing in the mental health community that has motivated your focus and your dedication in this space in particular?
Yeah, in looking at challenges that kids and families face, I mean, behavioral health has always been critical, so that is not new. And just a reminder, Lauria, behavioral health refers here to mental and emotional well-being, as well as healing from substance abuse. So this was always an issue, and then the pandemic elevated this issue to the point that really none of us could look away. Last October, I believe the Washington State Department of Health estimated that basically half of the state's population could experience significant behavioral health reactions. So this is about everybody. Of course, though, these realities are worse for communities of color. The same inequities that plague every American system apply in behavioral health, which was basically designed to cater to wealthy white people who can afford to go find a counselor. And then you add in just the stigma of admitting you have a mental health problem. And then there's just the fundamental lack of counselors to meet the growing need. So basically, we were all encountering a pandemic within the pandemic happening across the country. The only good news is that crises also provide opportunity to build a better system, because finally all agree that it's a top priority. So what felt new to me is that we were really seeing leadership and momentum. We heard about new policies being enacted, expanded programs and funding. And then we had a growing number of great legislators like Representative Lauren Davis and Senator Manka Dhingra who champion this issue. If I had gone to the state legislature 10 years ago, I don't think I would have heard anyone talking about this. During the 21 session, just this last winter, our state legislature stepped up and they delivered. Washington state leaders approved historic levels of new investment, over 150 million. So thank you so much to our legislators. Ballmer Group decided with this momentum to complement these public investments with a set of grants totaling $38 million to shore up other aspects of Washington's behavioral health system. We focused on a couple things. Workforce. There is just a huge need for qualified counselors who are representative of communities across Washington. So over 40% of rural counties in the state don't have a single clinician. And if we had a larger workforce, that would mean more of those practitioners could serve maybe as the first point of contact to a 911 call instead of law enforcement. So critical that we get more people. Another thing that we funded is we paid for that time needed for great on-the-job supervision. We want to assure that once people enter these jobs, they feel really supported. We're hoping that they're able to stay working longer in this field. And just a shout out here to the University of Washington. Wow, are we lucky to have a leading research institution like that here. They are a leader in training and innovation, and they've just been a great partner with us on these grants. So we've had fun working with them to put this together, and we're excited to see how it goes. It's just a start, though. I mean, it's going to take time for the workforce to grow and for our system to evolve. So along that way, along that journey, it's really important that all of us really understand what is behavioral health? What are these problems? We are also supporting the Seattle Times, which is soon going to begin a deep dive series on the issues around behavioral health. So I hope everybody will read that. Anyway, Lori, there's so much that needs to be done. The good news is, though, I think we are finally prioritizing it. And I'm excited to join everybody across the state who's starting to work on it.
That's awesome. The power of government, philanthropy, and academia and community working together. There's nothing we can't do when we come together. So let's take a moment to learn a bit more about behavioral health care needs in our state and how the Y of Greater Seattle, Ballmer Group, and others in community are working together to create better resources and systems for mental health in our communities.
We have another crisis together with COVID, and that is a true mental health crisis. The rates of anxiety and depression, and particularly among youth, have been skyrocketing. Suicide is a very real problem amongst youth today.
There is so much bad in the world right now, and it really affects some of our youngest among us.
Well, I'm a single mom with 3 little ones. We've been through a lot lately. We've spent a lot of time getting kicked out of shelters because of my son's behaviors. It's been brutal.
Young people are struggling, and it comes across in different ways depending on the age and the developmental level of the individual. Crisis response systems are an extremely integral part of behavioral health services because it allows a response team to respond to an individual or family in a moment of crisis. And it helps alleviate or reduce suicide, hospitalizations, or other extreme traumas to the family.
The WISE Children's Crisis Outreach Response System, or CORS program, is really innovative amongst youth mobile crisis response in the sense that they can actually stay with a child and family longer. I think it's up to 60 days, and that's really significant.
They've been a cornerstone of our behavioral health system. A youth experiencing a crisis is not always connected to resources, so that unconnected youth and their family needs a place to turn, and CORS has consistently been that program. It's been so invaluable to the families and the youth that need the crisis response.
I'd say it had tremendous impact, especially when I felt like I was doing just the worst job as a mom. Like I was just completely failing, and they're like, "No, Mom, you're doing great. Like, you're gonna be okay." And I think that meant more than anything.
We need to make access to treatment a lot easier, because we know that if you get someone in time, the amount of therapy they need is smaller.
The state has made more significant strides in the last year related to behavioral health crisis response than we ever have historically.
We're so glad that the Ballmer Group are stepping up to support the workforce of the mental health field, of the substance use field, so that we can better serve young people throughout Washington State.
We are so fortunate to have the Ballmer Group. First, I would have to say their staff are so talented. They have so much knowledge of the system and how it works. And what I have found is they really come to the table to help us say, how can we do this? Their solutions are creative and get right to the point of the issue.
They have been a leader in the philanthropic community. They have taken risks in many programs, many projects that have demonstrated that there is a different way to do this. There's an innovative way to do this.
You know, I'm a big fan of public-private partnerships. And what I find exciting is that often we can tackle very complex issues, but there's not one solution, right? There's multiple solutions, from housing to behavioral health. There's so many opportunities to really make a difference working together.
I'm really, really excited about what's possible with the slate of investments that the Ballmer Group has made. It has incredible potential for our state.
I have one more area of questions for you, Connie. I'd like to chat a bit about having real impact in times like these, when we're grappling with the dual pandemics of COVID-19 and systemic racism. You know, in 2020, you were quoted by the LA Times, and you said, everybody has got to look. We've got to look where we should be contributing. What can we do? We're looking. I'm curious, what was your eye-opening moment and experience that made you a volunteer, a community contributor, a systems change advocate, way back at the beginning of your work?
You know what? Can I be honest? I can't really think of one experience that inspired me. Daily, I will tell you that the saying, to those who have received much, much is expected, plays over and over in my head. And I've had so many eye-opening moments when I learn about some of the issues and what's working and what's not working. So it fuels me daily as I learn more. The more you learn, the farther you'll want to go. But really, what keeps me going, what inspires me are the leaders out there and the people working on the issues. I want to be part of what they are doing. And we spend a lot of time listening and watching to who's doing what in the community. There are so many good ideas that come up that we can help move along. So it's just the day-to-day that keeps us going.
Awesome. So what would you say to someone who is still looking for ways to contribute and do something to help? I know I'm loading on the questions, but I'd appreciate your sharing some additional insights for those who want to walk down this path and take this journey.
You know, it's interesting. I've talked to people who have asked me that question, and they're excited, and I think it feels a little daunting as people try to figure out what to do, right? Problems are many and they're big. And it's just simple. Just find something, just pick something that draws you in. It could be a certain leader that you want to follow. It could be an issue. You know, go to a meeting, learn about something, meet somebody who's working on something. There are so many ways to tiptoe into this. And, you know, it just starts with your interest and expending a few hours of time, whether you're visiting something, reading, or whatever. But there's so many places to jump in, and there's so much work being done. I'm confident that people can find a way in.
Well, Connie, I so appreciate spending this time with you. From our hearts, we say thank you so much for today's conversation and for allowing us to listen and learn from you and Ballmer Group's work and impact. And above all, thank you for your dedication to the most vulnerable of our community through the generosity of your time, your treasure, and your spirit. And by lifting your voice and using your influence as an advocate and community builder. We appreciate you giving us this opportunity to shine a brighter light on the work and impact so that others can be inspired and join us. You know, our hope each year is to personalize this program, highlighting the work and impact of our honorees. And to do that, we've had a chat with a few of your friends and our families and partner organizations and colleagues. And we invite you and our community to sit back for a few moments and really enjoy the following video tribute to the incredible community of impact and inspirational work of you, Connie, and Ballmer Group, which is a model for all of us.
Hi, Connie. TRUDI INSLEE here. Jay and I are so honored to participate with others to congratulate you on your well-deserved recognition in receiving the Albert K. Guy Award from the YMCA. Your personal leadership with the Ballmer Foundation has helped countless children and families. Thank you for being an advocate for early learning, mental and behavioral health, and especially for your help to expand and improve our foster care needs. You know this is a high priority for Jay and myself. You are an influencer, a communicator, and a connector. And in my opinion, you're successful bringing people together because you are genuinely a caring person and kind. Thank you, Connie. You're always comfortable to be around. You make everybody feel welcome. And I know that Jay would like to add a few thoughts of his own.
Well, my thoughts are Trudi's, and Trudy has talked about, Connie, your personal attributes you bring to this mission. But just speaking as a governor, I want to tell you that the longer I am in this public work, the more that people who want to deal with issues early in life are the most blessed amongst us. And you have committed yourself to do that, from early ed to everything else. And getting to the source of these problems at an early age means everything to the state of Washington. So thanks for bringing everything you have to this mission statement. This is a well-deserved award. Congratulations. Be well.
On behalf of the board and staff of Friends of Youth, it is my honor to congratulate Connie Ballmer and the Ballmer Group for being the recipients of this year's KAGI Award. The Ballmer Group has worked tirelessly to transform our state's foster care system. At the same time, has invested in strengthening our behavioral health system, especially for youth and young adults. Connie and the Ballmer Group, you truly are a partner, a friend, and an advocate in this work. Thank you and congratulations.
Hello, Connie and everyone at the Ballmer Group. Congratulations on this well-deserved award. For the long time that I've known you, I've always been struck by your dedication to improving the lives of children and families in need, and generally caring for the less fortunate. Your work has helped so many overcome barriers to economic opportunity and been transformative for both the foster care and behavioral health systems in Washington. These are causes that don't always get the attention they deserve, but you have shown incredible leadership in making sure so many children and families are not forgotten. Connie, for many, this is important, vital work, but I have seen for you, it's a passion that you pursue with rigor, purpose, and a deep dedication. It's inspiring to see. Thank you for all you do for those in the state of Washington and across the country, and congratulations on this well-deserved recognition.
Congratulations, Connie. It's about time you're being recognized. You are a tremendous partner and inspirational leader in so many great causes. You made a major impact in the effort to double funding for childcare and improve early learning in our state. And thanks to you, major investments were made to develop our behavioral health workforce to help those among us who face mental health challenges. Because of you and the Ballmer Group, tens of thousands of our people are benefiting now and for many years to come. Connie, thank you so very much.
Hello, we're the Rices, and I'm Constance Rice.
I'm Norm Rice.
And we're here today to congratulate Connie Ballmer and the Ballmer Group.
I can't think of a better couple who care so much and does so much for this region as you do, and you well deserve this award.
Well, thank you and congratulations.
15 years ago, Connie Ballmer called me and wanted to have lunch to talk about how the legislature works and how to reform foster care. In the years since, she has maintained a relentless focus on innovations that truly improve outcomes for children and youth. Connie was an invaluable partner in the creation of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, helping to build the strong bipartisan support she knew was critical to its long-term success. Congratulations, Connie, and thank you.
I can't imagine anyone but Connie Ballmer taking on anything as complex as the foster care system. Connie has considerable organizational skills, and she had the wisdom to stand back and examine the issues from new perspectives. Connie, you deserve to have your efforts acknowledged. You deserve awards, and as far as I'm concerned, you deserve a crown and a scepter. Congratulations, Connie.
Connie, you and the Ballmer Group have been pioneers working to create opportunity for young people at the margins of our country's promise, particularly children and families navigating the foster care system in Washington State. We at the Schultz Family Foundation share your belief that every child deserves an equal chance to dream big and lead a fulfilling life. And we admire your contributions, bringing together multiple sectors and centering community and partners on the ground to help young people thrive. Thank you for your leadership, in your volunteerism and your dedication to children and families here and in communities around the country.
Connie, you are an exceptional leader with a truly generous spirit and dedication to making an outsized difference. For as long as we've known you, you have led with a tireless belief in the unlimited potential of every one of our young people. Your curiosity and your focus on systems level progress have helped to transform systems that too often don't meet the needs of our young people.
Connie, our community simply would not be the same without your commitment to ensuring that all of our young people have a shot, a great shot at a bright future. So tonight, we thank you for all that you do. Your tireless efforts on behalf of our community and across the country inspire us and encourage us and so many others.
Connie, thank you. We are grateful for your friendship and really excited about continuing to work alongside you in the years to come. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hi, I'm King County Executive Dow Constantine, and I want to share my congratulations and gratitude to Connie Ballmer and the Ballmer Group, honorees of this year's award. Your work has helped inspire others to roll up their sleeves and do the work to create lasting, systemic change, investing in our community's behavioral health system, strengthening foster care, and creating opportunity for all is emblematic of what it means to fight for upstream solutions that will pay off for generations down the line. Thank you and congratulations.
I send you very best wishes from the entire global YMCA movement to YMCA of Greater Seattle as you mark the 2021 KAGI Award and celebrate volunteerism and especially the wonderful work of Connie Ballmer and the Ballmer Group. You are an inspiration in Seattle, and you are an inspiration the world over. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce the 2014 KAGI Award honorees and incredible community volunteers and champions, Matt Griffin and Evelyn Rosner, who will present the 2021 KAGI Award.
We're delighted to be here today. And I've got to say, all those years of Tanya Dressel and you, and I think that constituted the Ballmer Group in the early days. We'd be in meetings, you would be listening politely, thoughtful about your questions, you would figure out what you were hearing and what you wanted to do with it, and then there was no muss, no fuss. You and Tanya simply executed. You put money to work in the community around issues like education, foster kids, always understanding what the big picture was. And my guess is the word today is intersectionality. But you really got the idea that issues and problems have many, many facets to them. And instead of just addressing a point or a point in time, it made sense to look bigger and broader and have many entry points to the solutions. So what you guys established in the beginning, that is clearly the ethos that has continued at the much larger now Ballmer Group. You set the tone, and that tone is a wonderful tone for our community. I think both Matt and I feel that when the Ballmer Group is involved, we perk up our ears, because for us, the Ballmer Group is the good housekeeping seal of approval in philanthropy.
I agree with Evelyn completely, and I would say, but I would like to talk more about where the group has gone in the later years. And today, it's not only that you do so many great things in the community with what you fund and help to build a better community, but that you've created such a resource group of knowledge. And when I'm interested in a particular subject, I'm fortunate that I'm allowed to talk to your team And your team has basically raised the elevation about how we think about nonprofits and how we think about allocating our resources to really build a better community. And we see it mostly here in King County, but obviously you've been able to set the same stage for the whole country. So I thank you for that. I mean, I thank you for all the funds. I thank you for setting that tone. I enjoy working with your people, and I feel lucky that I can get their insights on things that we're interested in. So today we got lucky. We get to bring this AK Guy Award and basically give it to you as a celebration of the Connie and the Ballmer Group for all you do in this community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, you guys, thank you so much. Good evening. This is beautiful. Thank you so much, Matt and Evelyn. It's great to see you guys. I really appreciate your kind words, and I hope you know that I would follow you both anywhere. So thanks. This is a huge honor to accept this award on both my behalf and also on the behalf of the amazing team of people that I have the privilege to work with at Ballmer Group Philanthropy. Honestly, the work that they all do makes me look good, so thank you. It's really a joy to be together, even virtually, because we get to celebrate volunteerism and the people who lead for good. I want to salute all the past AK Guy Award winners. I am honored to be in your company, and I want to just tell them all thank you again. I know that they are all out there doing good work. And of course, we're all really inspired by the life of Albert K. Guy, who was so appreciated that this tradition was started. That's quite a legacy. And so thank you to the Guy family for this inspiration. And most importantly, thank you to the YMCA. You know, having a Y in your community is a big asset no matter where you live. But I think Seattle is extra blessed. Thanks to all of your support, the YMCA of Greater Seattle is such a strong pillar in our region. It serves so many neighborhoods, populations. It takes a leadership role on issues like foster care and mental health. The YMCA provides a common space for people who need some help and those who have the ability to help. And it really encourages families to play together. So thank you to those who run all of the YMCA clubs and programs. You are there day after day for the kids. And thank you, Loria, and your tremendous team who make it all happen. Personally, I'm really happy to see that the AK Guy Award is back after taking a few years off. And I don't say that because I feel like I need an award, but I say it because in this moment, I think we all need a little inspiration. We've experienced some really difficult times these past couple years, and frankly, listening to the daily news lately can bring me down. But when the world feels crazy, something that does inspire me and help lift me up are just the people around me volunteering their energy to help others. I am very fortunate because my job is to meet community leaders and volunteers. I get to learn about their vision and their work, and then perhaps I have an opportunity to help them. And so if I have one observation to share from my time in philanthropy, it is this. There are so many people and organizations who are trying to make the world a better place. There's so many big hearts, great intellects working together, coming up with new ideas, determined to make communities function better. Please stay focused on this good news when the news seems overwhelming. You know, really our most valuable resource is just people, humans, individuals. We are the solution that we've been waiting for. And I want to share an embarrassing memory that I have. I was thinking back to before I really made time to volunteer. I wasn't very connected to our civic or legislative process. And I was kind of disconnected from that greater good. For instance, I think I put public servants on a pillar, kind of expected them to solve problems. And I was probably quicker to criticize than empathize. And then, as I became involved, probably after my first few visits to Olympia to observe and meet some legislators, I had a huge epiphany. Hey, these are just people. That legislator could be my sister, my aunt, my next door neighbor. Wow. It was a moment, because as I examined their humanity, I could finally appreciate the sacrifices they were making, putting themselves out there because they cared so much about trying to make things better. And knowing this about them made me want to help them. So, thank you to our public servants, our civic leaders. It is no picnic anymore to run in an election. You have a difficult job and tough decisions, but we really need you in these positions, governing and guiding us forward. In closing, I'll also just say thank you to all of you, YMCA supporters who made time to watch tonight. I know that you guys are likely already very involved in our community. But for those who haven't jumped in yet, it's really not too late. So to get started, attend a local city council meeting or a legislative session. Find an issue that pulls your attention. Pick a nonprofit organization that you have admired. Go visit their site, volunteer, become a nonprofit board member. Write them a check. Remember, they are just people and they need you. So I think we can all log off tonight with some optimism, because Washington has so many passionate community leaders, volunteers, philanthropic and civic leaders. And frankly, they're getting much better about working together. A wise woman named Andy Smith once told me, if COVID has taught us anything, it's that we need each other. So thank you all for your kind remarks. Thank you for recognizing our work. Thank you for this award. Go out there and do some good, everybody.
Thanks so much, Connie. We are so grateful for the leadership and platform of community service of you and Ballmer Group, for your tireless dedication and service. We hope that everyone has enjoyed the return of the KAGI Award, our annual signature event. We look forward to seeing you back next September for our 2022 celebration. We encourage you to help us shape next year's program, starting now, by participating in our post-event survey, which can be found in the chat box. Thank you in advance for providing your feedback. The KAGI Award is all about celebrating those who look around themselves and find ways to activate to make things better for our communities, kids, and families. We encourage you to look around yourself and find which issues you're passionate about and that inspire you to action. Explore how you can be the solution partner in community by continuing to learn, advocate, and volunteer to cause meaningful change and make a difference. Getting involved is much easier than you think. It's simple. Get started. All you need to do is take the first step. Breakout sessions are now reopened, and we invite you to rejoin your room to continue the conversation and learn more. Please follow the instructions for accessing the breakout rooms on the screen and use the chat box to request support if you require additional assistance. What an evening. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us for this community conversation and celebrating volunteerism and the work and platform of community service of Connie Ballmer and Ballmer Group. Mask up, everyone. Get vaccinated if you're eligible for each other's sake, and be well and good to yourselves.